Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a woman who is spitting game to all of us out here. Let's take a listen to what she has to say and we will discuss.
Men are set up to fail. When it comes to emotional intelligence, men are set up to fail in our society. And I know some people aren't gonna like hearing that, but this is coming from my experience and my expertise as a therapist. I've been a therapist for like 9 years now, and I've worked with men and women, and I know how society works, and I know how emotional intelligence like develops, and the way our society works actively like sets men up to fail when it comes to emotional regulation and intelligence.
That is so true. And women always wonder why men don't have that. Okay, why don't we come equipped with that? Me personally, growing up, I got a lot of that from a lot of females, guys. One thing that I've always heard females tell me, and what frustrated them so much, was that I didn't have an emotional bone in my body. Okay, and there's a reason behind that. There's a reason why a lot of us are that way, guys. And she's gonna try to break this down, I'm assuming, but it's true. The way everything is designed out here is designed for men to take the fall, okay, and just suck it up. All right, but let's continue.
We all are trained out of our like intuitive knowingness of how to regulate our emotions because it's not socially acceptable. So we train it out of our kids. Throwing a tantrum is like the best way to regulate your emotions. Your body needs to do something with that energy. And if you just feel it and let your body do its thing, then it passes, which is exactly what you see. If you just let a kid tantrum in a way that's safe for them and others, you will see that after like a couple minutes, it's gone and now they're laughing and happy again. That's emotional regulation. We are all taught not to do that. And then what happens is we have different social kind of guidance as people who are socialized male versus female. Women are socialized to make emotional connections with other women. We talk about the drama in our friend group. We talk about our crushes and we talk about breakups. That is co-regulation. So our regulation skills are stripped from us and then we are given back co-regulation. Men, however, are geared towards social experiences that are all about being strong. Don't be weak, don't be vulnerable, don't cry, suck it up, push harder, and often bullied for any sign of weakness or vulnerability. And for some reason, emotions are seen as weakness and vulnerability in our society. So men don't get that regulation skill like given back to them. Women do and men don't. So while we're all coming at it with like a shitty hand when it comes to being able to regulate our emotions, men are coming at it with no hand, and we've got just like a few cards, which is like process it, talk about it with other people.
Yeah, see, men, we don't have those weapons. If we use anything like that, then like she said, we're labeled emotional, Eric Bonet, we're sensitive, all of these things, even in our own community as men. Okay, because that's just been something, if you go back in history and look, it's just always been that way. If you've been raised by your father or any male figures in your life, these are the things that they tell us growing up as young boys not to do. Okay, be tough, suck it up. All right, it's just a scratch, things of that nature, guys. And it goes the same with emotional trauma as well. Okay, if you're in a relationship and something happens, guess what? You need to suck it up, be a man about it, all those things. When on the other hand, women, they are encouraged almost to show their feelings, tell you how they feel, and it's perfectly fine for them to display their feelings and wear their heart on their sleeve. Okay, let's continue.
We don't know how to regulate it on our own a lot of the times, but men don't know how to do any of that most of the time. And so I'm not saying that they just get a pass, a lifelong pass for that, right? You shouldn't accept like mistreatment from anyone regardless of the reason. But when we as a society take on this narrative that men are trash and that men don't have empathy and that men are just like horrible, what we're doing is we're perpetuating it not being a safe place for men to mess up, for men to talk about their feelings and their vulnerabilities. We're perpetuating the isolation that created this issue in the first place. And so by not being able to approach it with nuance and have this conversation with nuance, we are just further creating the problem. And I'm not saying, women, that you have to take on the projects of men. It's not your responsibility. But I think we're taught that if a man can't communicate how he feels, then he's a bad person, get rid of him.
And to be honest with you guys, that's why we do the things that we do. And let me give you an example, okay? Women will tell men that you don't love me because if you did, you would do A, B, or C. That's usually coming from a place of, let's just say, a movie or a TV show that they've grown up watching, okay, that Hollywood has shown us. If a man doesn't do this, that, then he doesn't love you, right? But when most men are raised in a way that she's trying to explain, we don't necessarily know how to express our feelings in that way because we've never had practice at it. So when we do things like just simply pay the bills, okay, or take out the trash, or, you know, things of that nature, maybe take our kids to practice, that is us showing our significant other, you know, love. Okay. This is how we show our love, but women don't see it that way. They look at it like, well, he didn't do this or that, so he doesn't love me, or he doesn't love this family, which is completely wrong. Okay. It's just that men love differently. The majority of them love differently than women would like us to. Okay. A lot of women just don't understand, or they won't accept our love the way that we choose to do so, or the way that we only know how to do so. That's where shit gets complicated. And these conversations need to be had, because it's very hard for somebody who's been brought up a certain way to change the way that they do things, including loving somebody and doing all that. And I think for the most part, most women understand that. I know my wife understands that. I'm sure she would like me to love her in certain ways that she's probably seen on TV and things of that nature, but she knows who I am, and she knows still that I do love her. So it's just about, you know, knowing your partner, knowing your significant other, guys. And if you truly are with somebody and you've been with them long enough, you know if that person truly loves you or not. Let's just keep it real. You really know that. There's a difference between knowing that and wanting to see it in a way that you want it to be seen, or you want it to be shown. Okay, if that makes any sense. Let's finish this up.
That's not necessarily true. And if you have the emotional capacity to hold space for someone, whether it's in a friendship, a family, or a romantic relationship, if you have the ability to regulate your own emotions, aka secure attachment, then it is possible for you to be a safe space for a man who wasn't given the opportunity to process their emotions, to be vulnerable, to mess up, and be given space for that to be okay. You have that opportunity, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but it is possible. And I don't like that we just decide that all men are trash unless they, you know, reach some point of emotional maturity by a certain age. Anybody is capable of growth and change and healing, but our attitudes about it are not helping the problem.
And I mean, right there, she basically said it best. I mean, the attitudes are not helping the problem, guys. Okay. It is what it is. All right. Understanding, which most females have the capacity to do, will not do unless they want to. Like I said, it depends on who it is, guys. Women make up these rules until they don't apply anymore. Okay. They might say, oh, I don't talk to the guys under 5'6". Okay. I don't do it. And I don't do this. If he doesn't make this much money, I'm not talking to him. If he doesn't drive this kind of car, I'm not talking to him. Right. If he has a kid or anything like that, I'm not talking to him. And then they have these standards until they just don't anymore. All right. Until they meet a guy who is, okay, he's 6'1". All right. He's chiseled. He's handsome. He has 2 kids, but it's fine for this guy. Okay, because she decides that she's attracted to this guy, so it's fine now. Okay, all of a sudden. So like I said, guys, I can go on and on about all these things, but we're talking about emotional stability, emotional maturity here. And a lot of men don't come equipped with the things that a lot of women assume that men should have from just watching these Hollywood movies and, watching a lot of this rhetoric online, guys. Okay, because it just doesn't work that way. Okay, so with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching the video. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so, and also hitting that like button, guys. This is a new community and I am growing it. And everybody who is subscribed, guys, I just want to say I love you dearly, and I will see you guys in the next video.